Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cybergamer Steelseries TCM Gaming vs Infused Grand Final Best of 5. We're currently in the second game, with Infused taking a very confident first game. It was quite a long, protracted game, but they did eventually win that one out. We're currently in Champion Select with bands coming in thick and fast. I am Pulse, and I am joined by Metas. How's it going?
It's going good, dude. I am hoping for a bit more fast, frenetic action this time around, but you gotta say a W is a W, victory is a victory. So Infused will take that. They are happy with that performance, and they're gonna try and rinse and repeat right now. Some bands coming out: Jace, Draven, Twisted Fate, and Thresh. Effectively, I believe, the same bands as last time, so nothing to write home about, nothing really to get excited about in these bands, just standard.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't even seem like there was anything last game which really frightened them. It's just like, oh, okay guys, maybe we just didn't play it right. We'll try and just play it again in the same sort of fashion, and just banning out the same sort of things, not even swapping up in any way. They are, in fact, on different sides this time, so TCM will be in the purple corner, but so far, nothing really out of the ordinary.
Interesting enough there. The last two bans were I don't want to say targeted, they were just general bans against strong characters, but you know, you're going to have an Infused taking Kennen away when it was Zaxxas that was actually playing him first time around, so clearly not wanting to give the Kennen to the opposition. It is a very strong champion at top and in mid, and Nunu has been banned out from TCM, and last time it was Naru who picked up the Nunu, so actually banning out a champion that themselves played in game number 1.
Yeah, just really denying that from the opposing team, but it looks like we will have Elise coming in for the first pick from Infused, and because Elise was banned out last game, I think, so in this game will be open. Elise very strong in that mid-top or even in the jungle role as well. I've seen a lot in that top lane, very dominant laner against a lot of lane opponents, and Jace of course will be banned out, so won't be seeing that matchup, but yeah, very solid pick all around.
And Kelver is their AD carry, so that really gives nothing away. You wouldn't expect to see an AD Elise. It's not something I've seen a great deal of. But it is going to be going to TCM right now. Naru and Belgian Beast are going to be picking up. Interested to see if they're going to try and run a Lissandra again this time around. Definitely didn't pay out too well for them last game, but in all honesty, Pulse, it wasn't necessarily terrible either. It was just kind of like meh. It didn't really pay off, it didn't really go huge. But Naru actually hovering over the Zac, so they want to take Zac away from Caesar. Can definitely understand that decision. It was a playmaker in game number 1.
Yeah, very, well, there's nothing really interesting about that. It's just like, it was strong, might as well pick it again. So the Zac pickup, once again, just gives him a lot of mobility over the map. Might see that in the jungle again, and it's just a very solid pick. There's very little to discuss about it, apart from the fact he has the long-range ganks. He can gank from opportunities that most junglers can't, apart from maybe Shaco. But even then, the length of that jump is absolutely huge. And we will have well, no, in fact, it will be Nami.
Well, they've actually switched it up again there, Pulse. It's going to be Twitch. So they've locked in the Zac and the Twitch as well. Of course, Pulse is casting off the stream alongside you guys, so he does have a bit of a delay here. I have the luxury of being in the actual game itself. But over to Infused, they're hovering over Rengar. I would love to see a Rengar played. It's starting to get more play in NA and EU LCS, and it's a character that I'm always fascinated to cast on, but they're going to disappoint me and potentially go for the Lee Sin anyway.
Yeah, so Twitch is kind of interesting to pick fairly on into that picking order, because Twitch has, you know, not the greatest of laning phases. He can be pushed out by some of those champions, maybe like Caitlyn, that type of thing, but picking that up will be very confident with that, and the Lee Sin coming out as well. Is that Lee Sin actually locked in? I wasn't...
It is, yes, they've locked it in. Zaxxas is taking Lee Sin, and Overpower has just locked in Sona. So they're going to be running Sona again. Interested to see if they're going to go for Ez and Sona. It worked out so well in game number 1. If it ain't broke, why fix it?
Yeah, so far they have a lot of ambiguous picks in terms of like the Lee Sin and the Elise. Not really sure where they're going to go, so that will, you know, throw a spanner in the works for TCM in terms of what they're going to pick, because it's like, well, are we laning against that Lee Sin top? Is he going to be in the jungle? Will he have like a really aggressive, strong early ganking jungler? What's really going to come out from that Infused lineup? So it makes it very difficult for TCM, and they have to go for more sort of generalist picks instead of looking for those lane matchups where they can kind of counter the lanes.
Exactly. Having such versatile champions like Lee Sin and Elise keeps the opposition on their toes. They're like, we don't really know where they're going. All will become revealed now, as of course Infused are going to be locking in their 4th and 5th pick. Interestingly enough though, TCM are going to be going once again, rinsing and repeating with Lissandra and Nami. Nami and Lissandra were played in game number 1. Nami is just an awesome support, and I have to say Nami Twitch combination is deadly. So much damage, so much CC, and if Twitch gets rolling, Pulse, he is a real terror at bot lane. And Lissandra tried to make big plays last time, Belgian Beast, just kind of backfired. They didn't have any follow-up damage, and what Twitch will bring to the table and what Zac will bring to the table is that when Lissandra goes in with a Frozen Tomb, there is going to be cavalry right at the backside going in with her.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Metas, because in that last game, I think the classic example was at that Drake where we have Belgian Beast engaging with that Lissandra ultimate, but it just didn't work out because he didn't have that backup. This time around, the Twitch stealths him, we have the Zac there as well, absolutely perfect, along with the long range initiation and help from the tidal wave from Nami. In that bot lane as well, one Aqua Prison lands, Twitch starts packing in those passive stacks straight into the X-Plunge as well. It's going to be a very difficult situation for that bot lane if they get caught in it. That being said, looks like another Ezreal coming out, and we've said this time and time again, Metas, Ezreal is such a good pick against Nami with the Arcane Shift, able to get out of dodge against those Aqua Prisons.
Is also great against Zac. He's just typically the most maneuverable AD carry in the game. He likes to stay on the side of the battle, firing in his Mystic shots. We saw last time around, it wasn't the blue build, it was actually Bloodthirster into Triforce, which is interesting. Then the last Whisper afterwards. And they've gone for a Rise as well here, Paul. So they're mixing it up a tiny bit. Infused, but they've kept the same bot lane, and TCM right now are toying with the idea of a Karthus. Now, with them already having Lissandra, I'd be quite surprised if they lock in the Karthus, because that would therefore mean you have Lissandra or Karthus at top lane, and they've actually locked it in. So this is pretty interesting times. JWoww is actually going to be playing Lissandra, and Belgian Beast on Karthus could be a top Lissandra.
Yeah, definitely could be, or maybe they're looking for the lane swap up, maybe put the Twitch and the Nami at top, or maybe move them in mid as well. By having these very interesting picks, and knowing that they're not going to have the great sort of laning phases versus maybe an Elise or even a Lee Sin, or even a Rise as well, it would make sense for them to go for that lane swap up, but that's going to start to, the alarm bells are going to start ringing for Infused. They're going to see this and look for the lane swap ups themselves.
Definitely, because that term I use all the time, it's a declaration of intent, isn't it? That you want to be potentially playing something a tiny bit less orthodox, maybe just trying to catch the opposition on their toes. But that's a lot of AP damage again. Even Twitch does AP damage. So you've effectively got 5 characters that deal AP damage. Of course, Twitch will also do AD as well. So for me, it's a must pick up of a Runic Bulwark or an Aegis of the Legion again. I honestly feel Infused are going to just probably take that one with either Lee Sin or potentially Sona, although as we said in game 1, typically supports don't want to get the Aegis of the Legion because it's so money consuming for them. They're not going to be able to get as many wards. But Paul, so we are going to find out the questions to all those answers after the break. We've got another 2 minutes 40 on the delay. We'll be right back after this short break for game number 2. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Chaos TV's live coverage of the Cybergamer Grand Finale between TCM and Infused. I'm Edis, joined by Paul, so I need to make a correction. We're not going to find out the questions to the answers. We're going to find out the answers to the questions. I'm a bit special at times, especially when it's hot. Either way, we can afford to kind of waffle on for a bit here, Paul, because again, what a huge surprise. We're in a pause screen.
I know, shocking, but I definitely agree with you, Metters. The heat right now is absolutely terrible in the UK. And honestly, I don't know about you, but I really like the cold weather. I much prefer it in the winter than the summer.
Yep, as we're actually speaking in the break, I'm basically like a polar bear. I'm big, hairy, and fat. So when it's really hot like now, I'm effectively just melting on my chair. I know it's not a very nice mental image to have while I'm casting, but I am the kind of person that I'm in my element when it's like Arctic weather. That being said, Paul, so we can get off the conversation of how hairy and fat I am, and we can get into game number 2, which has just unpaused.
Well, you can't say we're not professional, so we'll be jumping to live as we get underway with this game. TCM just once again fanning out. Doesn't really look like we're going to have any early game action once again.
Yeah, last time around there was a lot of wards, if you remember, Pulse, in the purple team's jungle. I think there was 4 or 5 going down, including some pink, some vision wards. So I'm interested to see if, with the roles being reversed, TCM are going to play that hyper-aggressive kind of jungle invade mentality. Last time it was fruitless, though. Got some wards and effectively just pulled themselves back. That being said, though, Pulse, last game they had a Nunu. So it makes a lot more sense to be hyper-aggressive with a Nunu than when you have just, you know, a Zac or at least in as the case may be now.
Yeah, for sure. So we're really looking right now to see who's going to be laning where. And we were saying at the start, or at least in the Champion Select, maybe they're going to swap up the lanes, because obviously Karthus is not what you really expect to be top lane, neither is Lissandra, but we do have Jaywell on Lissandra. So Lissandra in that top lane versus Zaxxas on that Elise. They thought, well, okay, probably Elise will be in that top lane. Actually putting 2 AP champions together actually makes a bit more sense.
And I have to say that I think top lane may be as fun as watching paint dry, because just look at that, Repel and the Claw. There is no way you're getting any successful ganks onto Elise or Lissandra unless they make a massive blunder. So I wouldn't expect to see too much jungle presence at the top lane, unless of course Elise can land a few cocoons and lock Lissandra down while the Claw goes across, because it will be interrupted. But other than that, standard lanes right now, both duo lanes going to bot, and it will be Ryze against Karthus in the mid.
Yeah, in fact, we did see the bot lane from Infused actually pick up those golems, and despite them spawning at 1 minute 55, they still picked them up anyway. Only 1 minion has died, so Infused will be ahead, allowing them to hit that level 2 faster, and actually hence being able to go for that team fight in that bot lane even faster as well, because they will have that potential to fight. So we'll see how this pans out in the next couple seconds when they hit that level 2. Very likely they'll go for this engagement. So far, TCM don't know they've gone for those golems, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit worried there, because I thought our producer just disappeared, but that was actually Spuddington. So we had a few issues last time around, not this time, thankfully. But yeah, as you say, this is something that until very recently, actually, when the golems still spawned at 1 minute 40, that a lot of duo lanes would do at bot. They'd take the double golems, they'd come into lane, they'd get that early level advantage. Now it's not quite as feasible, because of course they will be spawning at 155 along with all the rest of the jungle, so it's interesting how that one pays out. It seems that Cesar realizes that the later this game goes on, the harder it's going to be for Jwow to escape. He doesn't have his glacial path, which is the Claw right now, so really this is the time to strike for Lee Sin. Fires out the Q. I'm not too sure if he was trying to land that on a minion.
I don't think it was onto Jaywell, because it was a little bit far away, but maybe onto that minion, which was stationary. So, well, you know, a bit of a failed gank there from Lee Sin, but, you know, it happens to the best of us. I don't think we can really say anything as casters messers. But in the mid lane, we will have Belgian Beast facing off against Overpower. Any early change happened? Not really too much. Karthus will be picking up these minions, and there's only 1 minion difference. So far, absolutely nothing really happening just yet. And in that matchup, you don't really expect too much to happen anyway. They're fairly passive laners until they get to the sort of later on into the game. That being said, we do have Narutorador down in that bot lane, looking for this gank to happen, charging up the Elastic Slingshot, looking to maybe move on to Caliver. But once again, we just have the Arcane Shift getting him out of dodge.
It's just so hard to gank an Ezreal that has his Arcane Shift off cooldown. Really, that's what it is in a nutshell. You'd have to land somehow, some way, that arcane prison first, and then, you know, hope that Zac can land his elastic slingshot afterwards, but just not happening there. So even though Naru did put some presence at bot lane, really it was for nothing, just burning the arcane shift. And it feels like a bit of deja vu here, Pulse, from game number 1, but we didn't have that first blood coming down until around the 11 to 15 minute mark when Drake was well on the cards. So I am interested here if we're going to have a farming frenzy again. If we do, there's a lot of champions on the board right now that would definitely work well with lots of farm. You've got Rise Karthus in mid. It doesn't get any more farm-centric than that.
Yeah, hold that thought just for a second. I just thought there was some trading going down at bot lane, not actually going to completely commit. Caliver actually dropping very low. Fairly surprised when Trucker didn't completely follow up, but he was dropping very low himself. Just a bit of bumping heads down at bot lane, but as you said, Meta's very possible that they do head into the farming frenzy. Get into the late game, however, Karthus very strong, as you said, Rise as well. So definitely a huge possibility that this could happen. Hopefully not, maybe something will open up, but bot lane very difficult to gank with that arcane shift. Top lane almost impossible to gank, Repel and the Glacial Path as well. Mid lane, Rise has got the Rune Prison, and Karthus may be the only person on the map who can be ganked.
I feel that maybe the first blood is going to come as a result from Overpower's teleport being used. Glacial Path has been used. Here comes Access from the side. Ignite as well, so hold that thought. Maybe it's not going to be Rise getting that first blood. It's actually going to be the Elise at top lane, which I didn't feel was going to be a hyper-aggressive lane, but that was completely wrong. Cocoon's landed. Zaxxas follows up. First blood, and Elise snowballs really hard at top lane if she gets that first blood as well, Paul. So this could be sad times for JWoww.
Yeah, and also with JWoww being on that Lissandra as well, not the typical top laner, so they're really lacking that sort of brute force strong front line. Saliva just taking some hits from Matroco, but they don't have a strong front line. They've got a really good sort of burst teamfight composition, but if their burst doesn't break through that that infused lineup, then they're just going to be completely chunked down, because Lee Sin's going to be tankier, so is Rise, so is Elise. So if they don't burst them down, if they don't get ahead, so that they're in a position to go for team fights and completely ace them straight off the bat, then you can only feel that TCM aren't going to be in the greatest of positions.
That's a very good point, Paulson. Of course, this game is already standing in a 1-0 and a best of 5, so if Infused were to pick up this game, which is completely hypothetical and incredibly early days, then you have to say TCM are going to have their backs against the wall. They're going to need to win 3 on the bounce. So it really is all on the line right now for TCM. One of the good things about winning the first game, Pulse, is it really does give you a sense of calm. Like, you're thinking, okay, well, we have a bit of a buffer now. Even if we do lose the second game, hey, we're still equal at worst. So it's that kind of situation where TCM may start to feel the pinch of this game and all the pressure on top of that.
Yeah, it's definitely a confidence booster, but now we hit level 6 onto Belgian Beast, also on JWoww as well. We could maybe start sort of 3-man invade. The ganking potential increases significantly, so maybe some more action may open up. But in that mid lane, Rise on 50 on just about 60 farm, and looks like Belgian Beast will be evening that one up as well. Very high CS for this stage in the game as well. Looks like both of those mid lanes are going to be very well farmed. And probably just watch the cannon minion duke all of the skill shots from Belgian Beast. But we will have, very close, almost limits of reversal, stealing away that blue buff. And that will force Narutador to smite it away, meaning that Karthus isn't going to have that blue buff. One of the key components for Karthus, because he is very mana intensive. So that might be the opportunity for Infused maybe to open something up.
Absolutely. It just looks like such a small play there from limits of reversal, but honestly that was pretty significant in mid, because now look at Overpower. He's going to be getting the blue buff, so Belgian Beast doesn't even have a Tear of the Goddess, doesn't have any kind of mana regen items, so it's just looking fairly precarious for him. And plus the fact that he's at such low mana right now, he's going to have to recall pretty soon. So again, it's that kind of situation, of course, where a small thing can have a very big domino effect on the mid lane.
Yeah, so we're really looking for Karthus to recall very shortly. In fact, he's doing that now. Most likely he's going to pick himself up a Catalyst, building into that Rod of Ages, which is also standard for that Karthus. Got to be careful though, because obviously Dragon is a thing. Wouldn't expect them to go and Baron this early since it hasn't spawned. But JWoww, just in that brush, has got the ward revealing him at the moment. Zac coming in from the north as well. Puts down some damages behind him. Glacial Path comes down, pops straight into Repel. And JWoww, in fact, just pushing him away, and the Rutarador there as well, but in fact has been revealed by a ward, so all Zaxxas needs to do right now is just waste some of Zac's time.
Yeah, Zaxxas is, well, pardon the pun, spidey senses were tingling before Naru even got into the top bush and had been spotted. It was obvious from JWoww's movement. He was being so aggressive with like half HP. That's where Zaxxas is like, okay, well, they're probably coming in for a gank. And you can see instantly at the bot lane and the mid as well, knowing that Naru was at top, they've jumped on Drake and they've picked it up. Such quick reactions there from Infused. Will pick up a free objective out of nothing.
Yeah, it looks like Metroko might be ratted out here with the ultimate coming in. The True Shot Barrage Flash comes down. Phalanx takes the brunt of that damage, but will be backing off. And they will just be clearing these minions. So that's a Drake already going down to the lineup of Infused.
Metroko ratted out. I see what you did there, Pulse. I see what you did there, dude. Tons of damage. Either way, Belgian Beast and Rise farming frenzy continues. There's really nothing in this, just a few CS. Catalyst of the Protectors picked up a plenty. Both Rise and Karthus have gone for that, along with the Tear of the Goddess on Rise. This is exactly what you'd expect to see from Rise. Pretty much every Rise in the world will build this first, because he just relies so heavily on Mana Pulse. He needs these items.
Yeah, he needs to have those lightning fast reactions facing up against this Karthus. Twitch around that area as well does have that stealth, so might be maybe looking for that gank, because most AD carries are not really expecting that to happen. The Wolf Pain comes down, the late waste as well. Metroko bursts out of stealth straight into that vial, booms some damage and actually pops down the ultimate, just going to pop down that X Sponge. Didn't quite land, no pal's quite happy just to carry on farming, but that's something that you really don't expect, because most AD carries aren't the most strong of gankers.
Oh, Sona is going toe-to-toe with the Golem, and that nearly ended in a somewhat disappointing situation. Is she just trolling this Golem?
I really wanted it. It dropped very low, just one auto attack.
Yeah, I mean, she was so close to dying there. Eventually, Kellever gets a move on and we'll be picking this one up. But that is going to mean that Limits of Reversal has to recall. And it's now going to be in a 1v2 at bot. So it could actually get zoned out here. Karthus, yeah, as well, it's important to mention that Karthus had his ult. So if he just randomly pressed it there, Limits of Reversal would have died.
Big plays from the Golems, and if only Belgian Beast had known. But we will have Lee Sin just showing us his face in that mid lane. Someone flashing up reds, in fact, Metroko just taking some damage as Kellever put down the ultimate. Nope, he's just going to return to lane again. It really throws you off because you hear the voiceover from Ezreal, like, returning to base, and then he's just still in lane.
And then leaving the grid, even while I'm looking at Zac on red. It's like, okay, you have the most ridiculously loud voice ever, or you're inside my mind. I don't know what's more disconcerting, but either way, Ezreal is going to be recalling right now. Has a fair chunk of gold to play with, has just finished off the Bloodthirster, so again, we could potentially see the Bloodthirster Trinity Force items coming out from the Ezreal, which is definitely something we don't see too often, Pulse. Normally it's the blue build, or in Reckless's case, Infinity Edge and the Blade of the Rune King. Elise firing up the Spiderling will land on JWoww, but here comes Naru once again. I think you may have muted your mic.
Yeah, I did indeed.
GG.
Fantastic. But we do have Naruto actually coming in with the elastic slingshot. Repel goes down into the glacial path. In fact, pops down the Let's Bounce, hoping to maybe connect that. Didn't quite pan out. Also in the mid lane, Lee Sin goes in with the gank. Good flash from Belgian Beast. Actually calls the Dragon's Rage just to push him back to his turret. Give him a friendly kick in the right direction.
Yeah, all the friendliness there from Lee Sin. Dragon's Rage up your backside. About as friendly as it gets. But yeah, Overpower is really low mana in mid, so he's going to have to recall pretty soon. I'm going to have a quick look at how much got. Okay, he's got 1.6k, so he's got a fair amount to play with when he does go back. But again, this is a second consecutive game here, Pulse, where we're already 13 minutes through this game. And apart from the Drake and the kill, very, very little has happened in terms of global presence, global pressure, anything. In fact, I don't think I've seen Karthus use his Requiem once, and he's getting towards level 11. It's not too often you say that. A lot of teams will try and make plays so that Requiem comes down and Karthus starts to get, kills or assists, but it doesn't look likely in this game.
Yeah, it's usually something happens, swing the favour of the battle in that into the team of Karthus, but at the moment it's just everyone just laying back and pretty much just farming. That seems to be just the name of the game. Everyone is just farming it out, and Kellever does have his finger on the pulse, but at the bottom, Metroko just trading out, but he does take some damage in return, actually lands all those mystic shots, brings him very low, and might force Metroko back, so maybe some damage gonna go onto that turret. Doubt they're gonna completely pick it up though.
It's also always very interesting for me as a caster watching a plethora of different teams. that the other day me and you were casting Shook on Lee Sin, and he's this
Yeah.
hyper-aggressive, hyper-gank-centric jungler. Caesar on Lee Sin has not really been the same kind of jungler. I have to mention though, at top lane was a very difficult lane to gank, so maybe that's one of the contributing factors, but my god, JWoww just got chunked. Meanwhile at bot lane, the tower will be falling, but Elise is getting to that stage now where she's really hurting. That was just a couple spells and JWoww was at 50% HP. They are going to be potentially going in, but JWoww actually baiting out Naru is going to be using Frozen Tomb on Xaxis. He's already used the repel. Here comes the teleport from the side though, courtesy of Rise. Are they going to pick up the kill on JWoww? Answer is a no. Karthus isn't going to be ultimating here because Xaxis simply isn't low enough.
Yeah, Zax is just pushing both of them back. With that teleport coming in from Overpower as well, looks like they will be taking another turret at top lane. I said before, didn't think that bot lane was going to go down, but Kellever with that passive, so much attack speed, great sieging capability, took it down very, very quickly indeed, from even about 80% HP. Now moving on to this top lane turret, looks like they're going to pull 2 towers out of their hat, and Infused in a good position once again in the second game.
Yeah, that is going to be the second tower, as you said. So even though JWoww did not die, that will still be the second, in fact the third objective if you count in Drake as well. So it's quite a strange, slow-paced game here, Pauls. We're kind of blessed in the US Challenger Series that we've got a lot of hyper-aggressive teams. That at this stage of the game, we normally have 15 to 20 kills. So having a much slower game, it's very interesting. You can feel the atmosphere and the tension. It really is tangible. But not a great deal of action in terms of kills going down. The aforementioned Drake has respawned, and Infused are going to be smashing this down instantly. In fact, no one's even close to contest this, so it is going to be a free Drake for Infused.
Yeah, in games like this, Metas, you really look at like the mind games and what people are thinking, more than the straight-up action itself. So right now, everyone's just chilling and farming. The Dragon went down, really didn't want to contest that from TCM. They knew they really didn't have the team fight potential. Even maybe could have done. Right now, what they need to do is just make plays happen. Instead, what happened last game is they was just like, well, what we're going to do is we're just going to hang back, we're going to farm out, we're going to be pushed in, but we're going to keep on farming, might do well when we get into the late game, didn't quite work out. In this game, you kind of have to feel that they maybe need to change it around and make something happen on their own terms.
Yeah, I know how this is going to sound instantly, but I don't mean this to be offensive. But TCM are going to have to grow a pair this game, because last time they were on the receiving end of a few objectives here and there. They lost a couple of fights here and there as well. Hold the thought, because Naru's coming head to head with Xaxis, so we could have some action on Xaxis here. The Let's Bounce has been used as well. Repel from the side, beautiful. There onto the minions, but he's still in no man's land. Frozen Tomb comes down. I feel it's only a matter of time before Xaxis will fall to the ground. Lasting longer than I was expecting, but finally does go down. But what I was going to say is last game, Pulse, they kind of let the game slip away. No one really stepped up to the plate and made a full-on engage happen. Therefore, they kept going behind, they kept losing the vision war, and just slowly but surely lost the entire game. This time around, I'm hoping TCM come out their shell a bit and try and make plays happen.
Yeah, for sure, and it might even be because of the swap off of junglers, because we know that Narutorador is, of course, subbing in for Broken Shard, maybe potentially the shot caller. I'm sure Broken Shard will inform me very shortly. But Overpower once again just farming up those minions in the mid lane. Tower falls to that top lane, so TCM are making some pushing objectives happen, bringing themselves back into the goal totals, only about 2k behind. But we saw this in the first game, and it just kind of gradually got bigger. It widened up, and we got to those team fights, and they were taken down. But Kellever instantly taken down by Belgian Beast and Phalox. That pairing just nuked him down in a heartbeat, and didn't quite catch that myself.
That must have been the most frustrating death ever for Kellever. Aqua Prison, come out of it. Wall of Pain, come out of that, dead. Like, there's nothing he could do there. His flash was also burnt in the process, his arcane shift was burnt, but he was just going nowhere. Wall of Pain is so strong. I think it's an underestimated spell. Everyone thinks of Karthus and their initial reaction is, oh, Requiem, but he really does bring so much more than that to the table. But that's going to be a 2-for-1. Nice pickup on Kellever. That should be the blue buff this time around for Belgian Beast. Last time, with a nice play coming out from Limits of Reversal, he didn't pick up the blue, and I feel it really did hamper his farming actually there. You know, Karthus, he's 185 after 19 minutes. He's still done a phenomenal job. Just imagine what that CS count would be if he had the blue buff.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because we just haven't had team fights happen. We've just had picks coming out. The Drake went down and there was no contention from TCM. You kind of feel that they should just go for a team fight because they have those AoE ultimates from JWoww and Belgian Beast, so 2 AP carries will make them very strong in that mid game regardless of how strong they are in terms of items. So you kind of just feel that they should just go for a team fight, see how it pans out and how that puts them in terms of how strong they are against Infused. Otherwise, they're just going to keep farming it out, objectives are being taken, and it's sort of out of their hands, as it were. But if they go for those team fights, they know how strong they are.
Yeah, very true. And I said this in Champion Select, with the composition that TCM is running, with effectively 5 characters that are doing ability power, with obviously Twitch also doing AD. The Aegis of the Legion has been finished off as a first item for Lee Sin. I think that's a really smart move coming out from Caesar. It's going to eliminate a lot of the problems from a lot of that AoE damage that's going to be flying on the faces of Infused in these close claustrophobic team fight situations. So yeah, again, props to Caesar, smart pickup with the Aegis of the Legion.
Yeah, so right now, Rise and also Carthus as well get incredibly farmed up. 203 farm at 20 minutes. Matraco and Caliber once again just trading blows, but already got the Archangel Staff and the Rod of Ages. Almost 600 bonus mana on the Archangel Staff, going to be farmed up very, very quickly into that Seraph's Embrace, and that's probably going to be the turning point in terms of power and power curves. Last game we were talking about the Kennen and the Zhonya's Hourglass. This time around, going to be that Seraph's Embrace.
Yeah, Seraph's Embrace is a really scary item on Rise. It just makes him that much tankier. And also, looks like we're going to have a complete repeat performance from Kellever. Bloodthirster first into Sheen. Last time around it was the same. He went with the Phage as the third item and then finished that off into a Triforce. I'm curious if the situation of the game is going to play any different this time around, with him not being as far ahead with objectives or CS as the Twitch. But only time is going to tell. Maybe he'll turn that Sheen into something like Iceborne Gauntlets to just try and basically slow and be that annoying blue build Ezreal that everyone knows. This is a scary position though, actually, from Infused, which they're not too sure about right now. They have no water down in this bottom bush. There are 4 players. Here comes the Elastic Slingshot, and the Glacial Path is well frozen. Tomb limits the reversal, gets completely obliterated. Now from the side, Aqua Prism has actually missed. If that landed, they may have been thinking about overpower, but they pick up the 1-for-0 trade at the end of that, with 8 of the 10 players at the bot lane.
It's amazing how many sort of huge AoE ultimates go down and just one person gets dropped. It's absolutely incredible, but that was damage control coming in from Infused. Only 1 kill came out, 3 and 1 so far for TCM, so they are leading in those kills. Goal totals are very, very similar. Actually evens it up to about 1k advantage right now for Infused, which is 1k less before and proportionally less than it was a couple of minutes ago. So right now TCM are kind of pulling themselves back into it, but once again you just feel they should just go for a team fight because they are so strong with that AoE and the Carthus as well, and it looks like we do have Infused looking to sneak one of these Drakes once again.
Yeah, definitely. And a quick question to you. Have you seen Belgian Beast use Requiem yet? Because I honestly can't remember seeing a single Requiem this entire game.
I don't think so. It's just never quite been the opportunity. You kind of feel like, Carthus, just use your ultimate. Something will happen in this game if you use your ultimate. But so far, he's level 15, almost on his 3rd tier of his ultimate. Still haven't used his Requiem.
So it's been a very strange game, because normally Carthus wants to use it at 6. Like, as soon as he hits 6, he wants to pop Requiem off. It's like, oh, I want to press that R so bad right now. Q actually will land on Matroco, and we'll just give a bit of vision towards him for a couple seconds, but he'll be just fine. Look at how many wards are currently in mid here, Pulse. There's 4, 5, 6, 7 wards in mid, as another pause comes in. Not too sure what's going on here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone so far has hit any issues. Might be Zaxxas once again, but nevertheless, as you said, the warding coverage in that mid lane is absolutely crazy. And we're just once again waiting for another objective fight to happen. But with Infused stealing away that Drake, nothing really to fight over at this very moment. So looking for TCM once again just to maybe something happen. You made a very good point before, Messers. They just need to grow repair, as you said. Just make something happen, force an engagement, because they have the damage behind them. If they just carry on farming until that late game, okay, you're really strong, but it's just, will you even win when you hit that stage? At the moment, you have Lissandra, who's currently out farming Zaxxas, despite having quite a dicey laning phase. You've got the Zhonya's Hourglass up. Carthus is really strong. He's got the Rod of Ages. He's 240 farm at 22 minutes. and he's almost going to have his tier 3 Requiem.
Yeah, definitely. Pause has just came out there, so we are going to be back to live once again. When I say grow a pair, it sounds really harsh, but game number 1, Pulse, just kind of slipped away. They lost with a whimper, not a bang. So I really think that this time around TCM are going to want to push the envelope and they're going to want to try and make plays themselves, especially when they're in this position, again, which is very, very close. This game is on a razor's edge. 33.2 to 31.3 is no difference at all. 1 to 2 towers, slightly favoring Infused, but again, there is no big advantage to one team or the other. So TCM with their composition, I feel they can make plays. They've got Zac. Look how Zac did last time. Here's Phaelox, though. He's been caught behind the tower, forced to flash away as the Rune Prison and Overload comes down. Lee Sin with the Insect Mechanics kicking back Belgian Beast. Another flash has been burned, and with all that pressure in mid, that's going to spell the end of mid tower. So this is the main difference between the two teams here. You remember last time they had Zac as Infused, and he was initiating all the time with Sona. This time, Naru's not really having the same impact, Pulse. He's not been making any huge plays.
Yeah, not quite a copy and paste of the first game, but they are just kind of being pushed back. Meanwhile, bot lane, Twitch picks up that tower, but Zax is now trading off with him as well. Huge damage coming in from that spray and pray. In fact, gets picked up with the Mystic Shot before he hits that stealth. That will be a kill, but that's also a tower in return.
Again, it seems that whenever a team gets a pick, they lose an objective. There's never any free picks between these two teams, which again just goes to show how equal the skill and caliber are of both of them. Some pings down towards mid, and Lee Sin is going to be going down. Has finished the Runic Bulwark as well, so again, I think that's definitely the right decision to go ahead with. Lots of flashes, lots of abilities burned in mid. End result is a tower down, so that moves it into a 3-2, but still, Pulse, anybody's game. Again, even though Drake's not up for a little while, I honestly believe that's the next time we're going to see some kills going down. Until then, I think it's just going to be farming.
Yeah, I mean, we keep saying it, Metas. This is like, well, next time the Drake spawns, we'll have a team fight, and then we just have Infused just stealth taking it. It's like, well, the next one we'll have a team fight, and then it's just there's absolutely nothing happening, and just the farm actually shows that. 250 for Carthus, 260 for Ride, but in fact, J1 finds themselves Zax's. Ruteridor now here to follow up as well. Glacial Path comes down, Repel goes up, but nothing to jump through, and he just comes back down and immediately gets gibbed. That's another pick onto Zax's. Can they make anything come of it? Top tower already down. That's 5 versus 4 currently for the next 40 seconds. Can TCM make something come of it?
Well, it's definitely possible, but there are no free towers right now. I mean, mid is still around 3/4 HP up, and that must be the suckiest feeling in the world. In fact, I thought that Naru was going to go ahead and try and claim himself some action on Overpower. Not to be the case, understandable when you see Overpower's items and how tanky he actually is. That's a pretty big rise right now. But it must suck to be in the least when you rappel up and realize that there's no minions to jump to, and you have like 10 HP remaining, and you're going to land like ass first on top of the head of both Zac and Lissandra. It's like, you know you're gonna die and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, but meanwhile on bot lane we have the Trucker trading off from Caliber, jumping straight out. That's still very close, but Caliber eventually gets dropped. But finally we see the Requiem come in. Not gonna be quite enough, as we did have the spell, in fact the lifesteal coming from Caliber, keeping himself alive. You only have to feel though, a couple seconds earlier from Belgian Beast might have secured the kill. 26.5 minutes for first Requiem, legit. That's not something I can ever remember casting before. But again, Caliber's gone for the Triforce Bloodthirster, and it really paying out dividends right now. 1v1ing the Twitch, managing to survive as well, and the Requiem is going to be down for quite a significant amount of time. So just all-round good news for Infused. They've got this power play that we keep talking about. When a few ultimates are down, they are currently on cooldown. That really does give you that kind of confidence to push forward and try and make plays happen. That being said, they're actually going back. So, nope. Confidence to push forwards a couple inches before we recall and take wraiths. So they got the pick. Belgian Beast doesn't have that Requiem. Will be up in about 60 seconds right now. Will they make something happen, or will they carry on farming? So far, looking at the fact that jungle has nothing else in it, probably gonna carry on farming. Only one Wraith camp is alive currently on this map, Metas.
It's like just a case of if you're a neutral creep, your days are numbered. Like, you're not gonna survive for much longer. You are dead every time you spawn. Same with Drake. Like, this must be one of the worst days ever for Drake, because the instant he respawns, he's dead again. I'm assuming it's a he. Could very well be a she as well. Either way, Baron has been warded. We are at the 28-minute mark, so Baron is very much open and up for grabs here, Pulse. It's just a case of which team wants to make the first move. I'd expect it will probably go down after a team fight, though. Typically, when all 10 players are alive, you don't see a lot of Barons going down at this stage of the game.
Yeah, but team fights in this game is very, very scarce. I think we've seen one in the first game, or two, I think. Nothing so far in this game. We saw a small skirmish down that bot lane, but that was really it. Maybe as they shape up around this Drake, we might see an engagement happen. One can only hope.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. This has been the point that we've seen the most action though throughout the game. He completes them from the side, but Carthus of all players will neutralize the Drake. Belgian Beast instantly goes down. He's not going to mind too much about that, but his Requiem is going to be charged off right now. Let's bounce in the middle. How many players are going to claim? Absolutely zero. Silver, beautiful safeguard from Lee Sin is just to delay the inevitable though, as Caliber will go down regardless. Here comes the Zaxxas. The Spider is going huge right now. Rise picking up a double kill at the death. That is a 4-for-2 exchange, soon to be a 5-for-2. Cell Division comes in, and that's going to be Overpower picking himself up the kill, I assume, unless Cesar wants to scumbag. No, he doesn't. That will be 3 kills and the ace. But, you have to say, TCM did manage to get the Drake.
Yeah, not completely even, but they're only probably about 1 kill down in that exchange, so wasn't completely terrible. We did have Belgian Beast dropped immediately. He wasn't quite in the position he wanted to be in, because when he got dropped into his passive, no one was around for him to lay waste to, and then his ultimate came in. Well, he did some damage to people, but Overpower, straight into the South's Embrace, just tanked it, just didn't even care, no damage done at all. So, didn't quite pan out in the same way that TCM wanted it to, but at least we had some action.
We did have some action, and at the result of the action, Rise is now 3-0, 320 CS. He is a raid boss. Look at those items. I would not want to meet him in a dark alley, Pulse, because he would crush me.
Yeah, gonna have nightmares about that for days, Messers. But we are moving sort of around Baron. That might be the next point of contention, because the wards are being put down from both support. The Vision wards are coming down, and the Oracles from Limits of Reversal as well. Matrocco actually starting this red buff, trying to get this away from Tazar. And the Pterodor around the area as well, maybe looking to pick up the Lee Sin as he finds himself caught by that team of TCM. Flash comes down straight into the glacial path as well. The Pterodor on the front line, straight into that root prison. So Idle Wave comes down as well. Cesar finding himself still alive, but eventually gets picked up by the lane with some Belgian Beast. Gets dropped into his passive. Overpower gets caught straight into the Frozen Tomb. Picked up 2 kills. Can they reclaim more? Glacial prison over that wall, but that's all going to be that for now. And that was a 2-for-1 trade, and TCM finally winning out in one of these trades.
Such a precarious position for them to be fighting in, though, because TCM's lineup wants to fight in close claustrophobic areas. They've got Nami. Tidal Wave around the red buff is going to hit everybody. It's hard to miss. It takes more skill to miss at that point. Same with Aqua Prison. And then you put into consideration that, you know, Lysandra can jump in, snare everybody. Zac is really in his element in these close-knit fights as well. So it was really bad positioning now, I have to feel, from Infused. They paid for it. I was talking about how scary and how strong Rise was before. If he's against the full 5 lineup of TCM, it doesn't matter how big you are, you're still going to fall eventually. And that's exactly what happened. They got the shutdown gold as well. So it's a case of Infused making sure they don't play themselves into TCM's hands. TCM will take fights like that every day of the week, and they'll be glad to.
Yeah, the next point that TCM need to do is they need to get a pick, need to win the team fight, then take some objectives. So far they just kind of backed off, took some more farm, and indeed they have been farming very well. Almost everyone on pretty much what you consider perfect CS right now. And both teams very, very quickly approaching, I wouldn't say completely full build, but Carthus is definitely approaching it. 4 items already, 32 minutes. You only have to feel in the next 5 minutes or so, we'll be approaching that full build as Zaxxas finds himself Naru on the side, and the Let's Bounce comes down, immediately cut short by that Mystic Shot. Meanwhile, Overpower finds himself, JWoww nukes him down as well. That's a 2-for-0 trade. Looks like they're going to turn their attention to Baron. Yeah,
Baron City now, 2 picks, and you don't even have your jungler up. That spells a free Baron. I can't see how they're going to steal this one unless Twitch makes something ridiculous happen from this side. It's going to be Carthus stealing out the Baron. Oh my god, how did that happen? Sona's gone down, Requiem in as well. This is completely backfired. And suddenly 3 players are down. How in the blue hell did Carthus steal that Baron when their jungler was up and Smite was off cooldown? Now they're turning on Salva. Matroco is going to be falling, and Phelox is forced to run away, but I'm still slightly shocked that Carter stole the Baron with a Lay Waste.
Yeah, let's take a look at how much damage Lay Waste is doing right now. So that's 120 plus 151, so that's 270, and then you have to double that as well. That is less than Smite, but it's still significant on a single target, where it's probably isolated as well. Not out of the realms of possibility, but even so, absolutely crazy still there, Metas. Did fall for his troubles, 4 kills went down onto TCM, but Baron picked up, and Phelox still alive as well, definitely came out ahead. Look at the gold total, only 500 gold in it.
And Caesar used his Smite there. So I can only assume that was like 10 HP when Lay Waste hit. But I can imagine that Belgian Beast has a huge grin on his face right about now, because he definitely saved his team from a couple of towers there. Not only the Baron, which in itself is an awesome play, but in doing so they killed 3 or 4 members of Infused as well, which is going to halt their onslaught, which is going to stop them pushing down your Inhib tower and Inhib. I can't stress enough how epic that play was from Belgian Beast. They're right back in this game. Look at the goal differential. 400 after 34 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if we were looking at this game and saying, well, they are sort of slipping away, 2 picks went down, Belgian Beast completely evened the tables, and there's nothing really else to add to that. But we do have the pings going down to Drake. Looks like TCM do have this timed. Cesar, can he maybe pull back some pride and smite this one away? We do have Naruto just jumping straight onto that Drake, perfectly timed. Can Cesar steal this one away, looking to move over, steals it away, there we go. Reclaiming some of that pride back, and now Matroco laying waste to that Cesar. Jumps over the wall though, keeps himself alive. Expunge doesn't go down though, and keeps himself alive, so 0 for 0, and the Drake. There we go.
Yeah, so now I think Cesar's like, okay, I still got it. I can still press that smite button and make things happen, but I don't think it's going to make him feel too happy about that Baron steal still, because if they managed to pick that one up, they would have been in such a commanding position. But still, at the end of that little, I don't necessarily want to say war at Drake, because nobody actually died. Still lots and lots of abilities being burnt, and also importantly for Matroco, I don't know if you caught it, Pulse, but he ate a Spiderling and 1 Mystic shot from Ezreal, went from full to a half of his HP, so he went down really, really fast. Alarm bells beginning to ring for TCM.
Yeah, we're getting to the stage where most of the players in the game are approaching sort of 4, 5, or even 6 items right now. Look at Ezreal. He's got the Bloodthirst, he's got the Last Whisper, and the Trinity Force, as well as Boots. Quicksilver Sash only really looking towards his last item right now. People are looking to be really scary. 35 minutes into the game. Look at the gold totals. 54,000 gold. That's an insane amount of 35 minutes, and that's really just reflects on how the game and the pace of the game's gone so far.
That's very true, Paul. So I cannot argue with you at all. I'm fully in agreement that both of these games, you have to say, have been neck and neck. Last game, yes, it did end up being somewhat of a stomp in the end for Infused, but for large segments of the game, Pulse, it was just like this. This very kind of, I don't want to necessarily say slow, because this game has had a lot more action in it, but methodical, I think is the right word. Kind of systematic approach from both teams. They want to pick up neutral creeps. As he said before, no neutral creep is safe in these games, and I'd expect that to follow suit in the next couple of games if we go that distance. But it has been a case that I think both teams ultimately just really respect one another's capabilities. They're not taking anything for granted.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Messers. I mean, that's really where most of this game lies. It's just respect for knowing that the enemy team could completely annihilate them in an instant, and knowing that, well, we might as well just back off, play it safe, and if we can get the perfect opportunity to engage, then we'll go for the engagement. Instead, we're just going to back off. If we can get the pick, great, but just try and get to that late game stage and just have decided when we both know that. So we're at that point where it's really down to the skill more than just someone getting picked. But JWell moving into that mid lane, and once again, we just are hitting this farming frenzy stage. And I guess the next stage of contention might be that Baron. In about 2 minutes 30 we'll be spawning, so we might see something happen once again. We did have the engagement first up by Infused. Maybe TCM will be the instigator of that next fight.
I fully agree. I think Baron will be the next place, unless someone gets caught out of position, just doing something daft, like, I don't know, farming top, way back past the river, then I can't really see anybody getting picked up here. I can't see any big, power plays coming into fruition, or any tower pushes. I really feel it's both teams are just waiting around, biding their time, waiting for that Baron. There's going to be some confidence on TCM, maybe a shaky Caesar after whiffing his might last time. So, I think TCM, maybe if it does go into that next Baron fight, may slightly be ahead psychologically. In terms of items, though, there is just such a large amount of items being built around. As I'm talking, though, Lissandra's actually gone down. Apologies for that. I honestly did not expect anybody to get caught out of position, Pulse. What happened? Did you see it?
Yeah, it was very, very fast indeed, though. Overpound came in with that Rune Prison. Ultimate comes in from Caliber as well, perfectly executed. Nuked down in just a blink of an eye. It was maybe 1 second of Lissandra just wandering around, finding himself the girl and being like, oh, this is some pretty good gold. Farm ups even more, instantly caught out, boom. Completely dead in a second. But this will allow Infused to push down this top turret and maybe gain some ground, but we do have Naruto around the corner. That's a massive Zac right now, Metas. Almost 4k HP.
He's a giant right now. I don't normally miss kills, but when I do, it's 40 minutes through the most ridiculously tense game ever. GG Vince, GG well played. Apologies, but Lissandra is going to be coming up in 10 seconds. Wall of Pain down there. It's going to be at the cost of a tower, you have to feel here. In fact, they're turning this one back round again. Look how low limit of reversal. He is going to fall down from the poisons. This is an absolute train wreck right now from the team of Infused. What in the hell happened there? Sona got crushed from Twitch, but why did Caesar need to die? They're both dead for about 40 seconds. And really, the world is TCM's oyster. This game could go whichever way they so choose. They can go for a Baron pickup or just steamroll through mid. And that's just at the expense of a couple players getting caught out of position. Looks like it's going to be the Baron pickup here. Naru jumping in. This is going to be free. Again, though, could we see the second Baron steal coming out? Last time, the jungler was not up from TCM. This time around, it's the same situation, but reversed. Infused don't have theirs. However, I can't see any big damage coming in anywhere other than the True Shot barrage, which has just been used. Frozen Tomb from the side, though. JWoww going balls deep here. He has used the Frozen Tomb on himself and the Zony Hourglass as well. Carthus goes down, but at the life of Ezreal. That's a double kill as well. And suddenly, in the blink of an eye, TCM are right back in this game. And they're cruising down the highway in the driver's seat. They also pick up the Baron. So, Pulse, this game is just backwards and forwards.
Yeah, not just back in the game, but pushing down aggressively into that mid lane of Infused. Very little that they can do to stop this train, this freight train, as they push down mid. But the flash comes in from limit of reversal, the crescendo as well. Straight into the Let's Bounce, locking up Overpowered just for a second. He's in the back lines, JWoww just pushing them back with that Ring of Frost. And they will just be backing off, no casualties just yet. Already Infused back on the offensive.
Okay, so now that fight's over, I can take a bit of a breather and mull things over. Right, so even though TCM pick up Baron, you look at how many towers that Infused have remaining on the map, it's actually hard to push them fast. They've still got their secondary towers up. So Pulse, even if they lose a couple players, it's hard for TCM to finish off the back of it. So you have to say that works in favor of Infused. However, while 3 players of TCM still have their Baron buff up, it's going to be difficult to fight them. I don't know why I said 3, it's actually 5. Either way, Drake's just gone down. But while Baron is up, they're going to have to play really, really careful. In fact, it's not 5, it's 4. I can't count today. GG Heat.
Yeah, the numbers, they just all merge into 1. Well, not 1, 5, or 3, or 4. So, we'll be once again moving into the jungle and just farming it out. But, as you said, this game couldn't get closer. With now the goal totals exactly the same. In fact, yep, it's still exactly the same. No, yep, there we go. So, it's just difficult to call either way. Because something happens, an engagement happens onto the tower, and then it's just swung in the direction of the other team. It's just, you can't really call it. So far, it just seems like Infused are making the right calls, they're doing the right things, but then it just takes one slip for TCM to bring themselves back into the game. We saw the top lane turret dive. It's just the ability for Matraku to completely nuke someone down from, what, 1,000 units away. It's incredible, the amount of picking potential they have, even in that sieging capability. That's going to mean that Infused know what they're up against next time they try and siege a turret.
It's a very good point, that especially Sona, who was caught last time and died off the poison. She's so squishy for Twitch right now. Look at Twitch's items. The guy is just putting down so much pain. It is a pain train when he unloads with the spray and pray. And if Sona is anywhere near that vicinity, she is going to burst instantly. It's going to be a no contest. Afterwards, Lee Sin, Cesar tried to make something happen and got killed himself. Rise on the side, though, Matroco has been completely caught. But with the Blade of the Rune King, is able to survive. Samson Braves was popped as well from Overpower, who moves himself away. Does pick up that kill. Nami, of all players, will claim the kill onto the Spider Queen herself. At least Belgian Beast comes out as Zoni's Hourglass to meet his doom. Here comes the Requiem. Is it going to claim any lives? No, it's not. Simply not enough damage. So that was a 2-for-1 exchange. Again though, Matroco getting a bit too ballsy, a bit out of position, and pays with it with his life. Your AD carry should never ever be the first person in.
Yeah, I guess he just felt because he's Twitch, he has that ability to pop out of stealth, go straight into that engagement, but he did get completely caught out from that rise around the corner. And Zaxxas also falls in that engagement. That engagement might have been slightly different though, because Belgian Beast found himself in the middle of that entire team from Infused, but a Great Dragon's Rage actually knocked him completely away and forced him to Zhonya's and then got picked off at the end. We do have another pause coming in, but we will be back into the action very, very quickly. It looks like everyone is starting to approach full builds as well. When we hit the next team fight, 5 versus 5, who do you think will win out, Metas?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I could not get my crystal ball out and foresee that one. It's purely going to come down to how the rest of these two games have positioning and who engages on who. If it's a clean engage, if it's a good engage. We've seen both. We've seen really crystal clear engages, like in game number 1, where Zac with the Baron buff, which was Cesar, jumping over towards that second tier top tower, and just that was a perfect engage. Ended up winning them the game. But then we've seen a couple of dodgy engages as well, like at the top tower there, again from Cesar, and also limits of reversal, where they kind of stepped out of position, they got caught with their pants down, and ended up costing them, at the end of it, a Baron. So it's really going to come down to that execution, Pulse. Something that we talk about time and time again. Who can hold their nerve? Now with pretty much full item builds coming up for a lot of characters in the game, it's going to come down to that split decision making. It's going to come down to whose positioning is better. Matroco having a bit of a shaky one there, taking the point as a Twitch, really you should never do. And if he does that again, it could cost his team the game.
Yes, indeed. In fact, just looking at Ryze's build, just like to draw your attention to how much CS he has. 426 CS. Absolutely crazy. He's got 2.3k bot, and in fact, we do have the engagement jumping onto Overpower, as we were just talking about him, but he just... The spell vamp from him is absolutely huge right now. Caliber may be getting caught by Jaywell, but backs off from using that arcane shift. Just going to jump to line very, very quickly. But just... as a demonstration of how much gold Ryze has right now, not only floating 2.5k gold, but he's got a Hextech Gunblade. He's basically got the biggest ticket items in the game. He just has that much gold. It's just like, well, I could get Will of the Ancients, but I've got even more gold, so I might as well get Hextech Gunblade, which gives me the same thing, but better.
And we're getting towards the point in the game now, Pulse, where gold doesn't really matter, because we're getting towards the full item builds, and even if it did matter, it's still unbelievably close. It's really just going to come down to who can get that perfect engage off. Both teams have capabilities of making plays out of nothing. For example, Flash Crescendo from Limits of Reversal could start off a pixel perfect team fight for Infused, but then on the flip side, you've got Lysandra, you've got the Wall of Pain, and the Zac train just jumping in on top of that. And Nami, as you said before, completely correctly, is like one of those supports that can engage from a long range away with Tidal Wave or with the Aqua Prisons. So both teams, again, are just very, very kind of tiptoeing. They're walking on eggshells. No one wants to stay out of position. No one wants to make any dumb face checks. And it's going to be a slow one. Again, it could very well be Baron before we see a team fight kick off here, because neither team wants to lose at this stage. They've put their hearts and souls into this game.
Yeah, the committed 45 minutes and all this farm, it's just going to come down to, I wouldn't say necessarily the next team fight, but if it goes 5-0 in either direction, it would definitely be the game. Even if it's like 4-0, but they need a clean sweep. And right now with it being so even, you don't expect there to be a complete clean ace. You expect them to be some casualties from both sides. And TCM just backing off. They're just both teams waiting for this engagement to happen. As you said, Metas, they're just waiting for that perfect opportunity to open up. Because if one of them gets caught, then it's all over. But on the flip side, get one of those Aqua Prisons down, land a Tidal Wave, land a Frozen Tomb, that's the situation you want. And you want that to be on your own terms. You want to be near where you have the sanctuary of your turrets. If you do potentially get caught out, you want the ability to run back to your turrets and be able to contest a team fight, or even a siege situation if it comes to it.
Yeah, fully agree. And, you know, Baron is going to be due up fairly shortly. Both teams are just tiptoeing around, and you really can feel the atmosphere in the game. I can just imagine how much their hearts are pounding right about now, the amount of adrenaline that must be coursing through their veins, because we are at that tipping point, that fulcrum point, Pulse. As you said, a 5-0 exchange, and it is the GG. Even if you just pick off a couple of the carries of the enemy team, it could very well snowball into a crippling defeat, or at least putting it in contention of the next push being the very end. So both teams, they really are not wanting to keep themselves in any kind of vulnerable situation. And I have to say that I think both compositions are fairly equal as well. Neither composition has a massive advantage over the other right now. Neither of them can just go all in without facing the repercussions. You know, you've got a Fed Rise right now. You jump in onto his face, you're suddenly going to find yourself 6 foot under. Ezreal true-shotting, barraging the downward creeps actually to stop them pushing a tower. Baron has respawn Pulse. It's just a matter of time. Zack's going to be jumping in, forcing the repel. Here's Overpower from the side though. Naru has been caught out of position. He's getting completely chunked down. Tidal Wave, beautifully done there. Sazon's very low, forced to go away. Flash actually, and the safeguard. Nami will pick up the kill on Lee Sin. Rise in a precarious position is very, very low right now. Will be shut down from Twitch. Now they're going to be turning it around on Zaxxas. Aqua Prison narrowly missing with his Zoni's Hourglass. This is a beautiful fight thus far for TCM. Can Kelleher make something special happen? He's got the double kill. He's got the triple kill. Can he go two better right now? Zack is going to be jumping in. Requiem as well. But they're not going to be following this one up. So for as much as we've been hyping up this next team fight, it lived up to expectations, but we still don't have a clean winner.
Yes, Kelleher almost picked up the Penta, but we just had the Carthers in his passive, just warding him away with the Wall of Pain and those lay weights as well. That could have very easily been the rest of those kills being picked up. With Neuroterador very, very low, he did have his passive, but there wasn't very much that Phalox was going to be able to do against that such a strong AD carry at this stage in the game. And we have a DC. Just after all that action, it's just stopped dead in its tracks.
I can't say I'm too bothered by that because I need a breather. Like I need to take a quick drink because that was just unbelievable with so much at stake. And Kelleher kept his team in it. His positioning was so good. Overpower got took out from Twitch's poisons, and after that I was fearing the worst. I honestly was. I was thinking, oh god, you know, this is probably going to be the GG with TCM taking it. But Kelleher, with such low health, was able to get his life up by just auto-attacking like a boss, landing every mystic shot as well, and somehow, some way, his team is still in this game. Zaxxas has just reconnected, Paul, so looks like we're going to be jumping back onto the Rift very shortly. 48 minutes through, 2020 is the scoreline. 73.9k to 73.2k. It could not get any closer.
Yeah, we've already said that gold is getting to the point where it doesn't even matter. Obviously, the last sort of item from the junglers, and maybe even the supports. I feel like we're going to get to the stage in the game matters where we have the supports at full build. It's just approaching that sort of stage. But yeah, in that last team fight, very, very close. And you do feel that Celibate has the potential just to go huge and could pick up the rest of those kills. But on the flip side, Matraka gets in the right position. It just depends who can stay alive the longest. That last engage was very interesting. We had, in fact, Cesar pushing back that entire back line and kept himself alive for a very long time. Soaked up so much damage, I thought they were in a very good position, but they found themselves so split, their back line exposed, that they just had TCM just hammering away at them with such a strong Carthus and all the damage coming out from Matraka as well. It's just, the game is just too close.
Oh, Rise has just teleported in here to Baron, realizing that Carthus is just about off the spawn pad right now, so this is a really ballsy play. I'm hoping this doesn't backfire for Infused. It'd be a terrible way to go. Sona is trying her best to clear out this one. Here comes the Aqua Prison. Could all be on this, and Lee Sin is going to be taking down the Baron. So it's a bit of an advantage to Infused. I have to say though, at 50 minutes through the game, Baron does not have anywhere near as much relevance as it does, say, 30 minutes ago. So even though they do have the Baron buff, even though it is a nice little advantage, it's definitely not a game-winning advantage right now.
Yeah, proportionally as you get into the later stages of the game, the amount of AD and AP and the rest of the stats it gives you becomes proportionally less significant. Get it at like sort of the 15-20 minute mark, that's huge. You're increasing your damage by like 20%, 30%, it's massive. At this stage in the game, it's like what, 40 AP on top of what Koff has almost 700. It's like, it's practically, I wouldn't say it's nothing, but it's definitely not as much as you said it would be earlier on to the game. Cesar Ivan trying to get that. Drake, in fact, picked up by Matraco, finding himself Lee Sin jumping over the wall, making sure he doesn't get picked off, because if anyone gets picked off at this stage in the game, that's a team fight. Someone's going to start a team fight, and it could potentially mean them being pushed in, potentially for the win. 50 minutes into this game, everyone approaching those 4 item builds. Moving down to this mid-inhib turret, TCM potentially out of position very slightly. That turtle shell has been cracked in that base. You're chunking down that inhibitor so quickly, and Lissandra's not there just yet, so they can't go for that engagement. Such a good timing push from Infused.
A bit of a head scratcher as well from TCM though, because Lissandra, JWoww was at top and Belgian Beast was at a bot lane, and they were both visible, they were both farming creeps, so that's why suddenly Infused were like, oh okay, we'll pop the Shrelia's Reverie that Limits of Reversal has, and we're just going to rush straight down mid and pick up a free inhib. And it's a case of TCM just being like, god damn it, why do we have to go and farm this late in the game? But one of the main reasons why Baron is strong at this point in the game, obviously not as strong as previously, is the regen. It allows you to stay in the lanes for longer, it allows you to siege those towers for longer as well. So it still is an important thing to add into the kind of situation, but TCM can definitely break them down. Again though, Naru was recalling at top on double golems, and that could very well cost them this tower. It's already down by about half its health. Glacial Path to clear out the ward, the CS I should say, but still there's a lot of damage coming down on this tower.
Yeah, also those spiderlings coming in from Zaxxas as well hurt so much. Took JWoww from 100% to about 70 or even lower than that. Really hurts, and if he does land the neurotoxin as well, that's probably 50% of your HP being taken down in an instant. So they are taking that outer turret, just maybe biding their time, looking to get something done on this inner turret, on this inhibitor turret. But Limits of Reversal finds himself caught. Belgian Beast moving in as well. Tidal Wave comes out, but the disengage comes in from Infused. Zac looking for that engagement with the Elastic Slingshot, but after all those cooldowns being burst, he will just be backing off. However, that has stopped Infused from just pushing down straight into their base.
That seemed like a bit of a lapse in communication, because he was charging the Elastic Slingshot with Naru, and then he cancelled it. But Lissandra still went in to, you know, pop down Sona. If Zac had gone in with her, they could have actually completely nuked Limits of Reversal down before he got a chance to flash away. So yeah, I'm not sure if it was a lapse in communication or it was a case they just didn't want to overcommit for the support, because then they'd get a crescendo for their troubles between their eyes. So maybe in hindsight was the correct decision to go for that one. They did also burn the flash from Sona, so that flash crescendo, that hard engage I was talking about before, is off the table for the next couple of minutes, which is good news for TCM.
Yeah, I think it's probably worth mentioning how strong the counter engage is from both of these teams, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons why they're not just going balls to the wall and going for these engagements, because if they go for that engagement and they get counter engaged, all 5 of them get hit by a crescendo, then that's bad, really, really bad news. Top turret goes down, someone's going to need to deal with that minion wave. There's at least 4 waves of minions there just laying siege to that inhibitor. They just basically nuke down the entire wave themselves. Zac goes up there along with JWoww as well. Not sure if they need to commit 2 people. This is going to result in bot tower falling as well. And there's no turrets left on the map for TCM apart from their Nexus turret. And that's another turret going down. Now their inhib is open, and this is a completely even ground.
This is deja vu from game number 1 where they let little things go, but here comes Gulliver. He's been caught from Frozen Tombs. This could very well be the final fight of the game. Limits of Reversal has fallen. Belgian Beats his solo, but he's happy. He's going to a nice position there. Twitch with a double kill. Here comes a Requiem. That's going to be the 3rd kill. Can they add another one to that notch? Twitch is chasing after Overpower right now. Look at the damage he's doing. That is going to be a dead Overpower. 4 for 2 exchange. But they cannot push the inhibs, they cannot push the towers, because look at their Nexus towers right now. They are being smashed upon by super minions. Even though they win a resounding team fight, they still can't finish the game, Pulse. This has 60+ minutes written all over it.
Yes, indeed. It's just the fact that so many inhibitors are gone down. 2 inhibitors have gone down right now for TCM. Bottom inhibitor is exposed as well. And plus the fact that Zaxxas was alive meant that Matraco couldn't just push by himself, because Neuroterador and Phalox could have cleared those minions by themselves, and Matraco just pushed down that mid lane had that been like a 5 for 2 trade. but it wasn't. Zaxxas was still alive. That meant that he could have actually stopped Twitch from pushing if he decided to take some turrets, meaning that nothing really happened at all. Any one of those carries stays alive, then you're going to be able to stymie that push. We do now have Zaxxas trying to steal away this red buff. Gotta be careful he doesn't get caught by Narutorador. I guess he just feels right now that someone else might be around the corner. Never quite know if Matraka is just around the corner, stealthed up, but will be backing off, and Twitch will be quite happy in the knowledge that he's going to have a red buff waiting for him.
Yeah, that is very true. At this stage of the game, you simply don't want to risk or gamble your life for a red buff. That could be the final nail in the coffin. That would be an awful way to lose a 55-minute game. So yeah, smart play from Zaxxas, doing the the smart and safe thing. Better safe than sorry. But indeed, this game is at 55, coming up to 55.5 minutes through. Plenty of items have been finished. Twitch is proving himself a terror in these team fights, but the simple fact is that on terms of map control, there is only one winner right now, and that's Infused. One of the inhibs has just respawned, which is going to be good news for TCM. They're going to wait for this third inhib to respawn. But again, Baron is imminent. It is going to be coming up very shortly. And in the kind of case that TCM are in, where they don't have a great deal of ward coverage around the Baron pit, they could very well get themselves caught out of position. So once Baron respawns, do you think that TCM are going to let this one just go to Infused? Because that would be the safe play. They can still beat Infused in their base. If they go searching and fishing for Baron, they could get caught out of position and actually lose the game off that.
Yeah, very true. And we've already spoken about, how, I wouldn't say little Baron matters at this point, but unfortunately it's not as much as it was before. The safe play would be just sitting in their base waiting it out. But we do have Naru moving around to that Baron, drops in, what, 3 seconds flat? Absolutely crazy. This is not the position he wants at all. The flash comes down from Saliva, and there's the Let's Bounce as well. Reduced CC, J-Wild now coming in. Circle Frost comes down along with the Tidal Wave as well. The Zonius has come out immediately from J-Wild, but the Dragon's Rage hits all 5 people. J-Wild comes in once again with the Frozen Tomb, locking down Saliva. Matraka leading the charge, picks up another kill, double kill, jumps straight onto Carthus, in with the Wrecker as well. Can he claim any kills? Everyone drops low, but not quite yet. Zaxxas has dropped very low, along with Ivan. That's Cesar, just around the corner. Narutador actually goes to farm the golems. Had he just jumped in a different direction, Lee Sin could have got it, but he's actually going to go for the inhibitors. Meanwhile, we have the strong push coming in from Matrako. Can he pick up an inhibitor in return?
Zack is on run to the back though. Cesar does have his Guardian's Angel up, so even if he goes down, he'll be respawning. Zaxxas as well. Could this game end in a base race? After 57.5 minutes, it's Twitch against Lee Sin and also Zaxxas on Elise. They're going to be picking up all 3 inhibitors. This simply is not worth it for Twitch. Yes, he may pick up 1 inhib, but at the cost of 3 of his own. In fact, they could be transforming themselves and turning themselves on the Nexus towers. One of them is incredibly low right now. It will be falling down. Elise picks up 1. Let's Bounce has been used. Dragon's raging away from Cesar, who's taking tower shots. Twitch is finally starting to recall, and I have to feel that was a bit of a misplay coming out from TCM. Yes, they got an inhib, but at the cost of all 3 of their own and a Nexus tower. It simply was not worth it.
I guess it just felt that they needed to reclaim some sort of ground, but it just, as you said, was not worth it. All those inhibitors going down means that not only in the next team fight that Infused start, they're going to have to deal with all those minions as well. And at this stage in the game, those super minions are really starting to hurt. So they need to deal with all of that as well as that team from Infused. And just looking at that Zac is absolutely huge, on the same sort of level as the Cho'Gath.
It is one hell of a giant pink blob, really. It's not the kind of pink blob that you want to go against, but when you're nearly 60 minutes through the game and you have characters like Ryze, who is full item built right now, and Ezreal, full item built, sold the Berserker's Greaves for a Zephyr, as most AD carries do at some point. Twitch, interestingly enough, just sold a BF sword to pick up Berserker's Greaves. That's kind of a downgrade, I would imagine, in terms of damage, but maybe once the home guard booster get in close contention, one of the inhibs has spawned, but again we're in that position where if they go and defend top, then their second and final Nexus tower is very much vulnerable. Tidal Wave coming through, this could very well be last chance saloon for TCM. They've started off perfectly though. Zaxxas has fallen, that's a lot of damage out of the threat right now for Infused, but Ryze is coming back, that's a double kill for Twitch. Cesar, with the Requiem on top of his face, will be going down courtesy of Karthus, now switching their attention on Kelliver, who always seems to be on full HP in these fights. That's a 3-for-2 exchange, but look at the Nexus right now. Lissandra falls, the super minions are attacking the Nexus. Naru to the rescue alongside Twitch, and that is going to spell the end of this, or is it actually, because Ezreal and Sona have just destroyed the third inhibitor. This is an unbelievable end to the game. We could have an Expeke on our hands with Kelliver darting around the sides. He's popped the barrier as well. Exhaust on Twitch. Nice ignite. Will actually finish off with the poisons, I believe that was. In fact, no, it was just the poisons. And now Naru is chasing away Sona. Twitch is trying his best, but the Nexus is going to fall anyway, just after the hour mark. What about that for a game? I need to catch my breath.
That was an explosive finale. I mean, Messers, all game we were talking about, we were just hoping the engage happens. Get to 55 minutes, it's all-out action all over the board. What a finale to that second game. Absolutely crazy, and those super minions just not enough for Matroco to contend with. The damage had already been done by Kelliver dropping that Nexus so low that they could finish it off. What an end to that game.
What an awesome game. And you know, you've got to say that TCM, they're 2-0 behind right now in this best of 5. But man, oh man, does that scoreline not reflect how close these games have been. They have been so close. In particular, that second game. 60-minute matchup ends in that kind of fashion is just unbelievable. I still feel that the Twitch push there for the inhibs was maybe, in hindsight, the wrong decision. He should have just stayed back and made sure his inhibs didn't fall. But still, after 60 minutes, you have to tip your head. That was a great game to